I'd like to call to order the December 3rd, 2013 regular meeting of the Davie County Board of Education to order. At this time, I would ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. Have a motion by Mr. Ridenhour. I'm sorry. We have a motion by Mr. Ridenhour. Do I have a second? We have a second by Mr. Drexler. All in favor? Oh, wow, all messed up. Yeah, I thought Paul. Okay, that was Miss Horn. I apologize. At this point, I would ask for a motion to go into closed session.
You said motion in a second. Did anybody vote?
Yeah, we did vote. Yeah, we did. I'm sorry, Gene. It was unanimous. I apologize. At this point, I would like to ask for a motion to go into closed session for the board. The board will go into closed session to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to discuss personnel matters protected by state law and to give advice to our staff and attorneys with regard to the price or material term to be included in a potential contract regarding real estate. We have a motion by Mr. Drexler. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ms. Horn. All in favor? We're now in closed session. At this time, I would like to reconvene the regular scheduled meeting for December the 3rd, 2013 of the Davie County Board of Education. Thank you for being here. Good to see everyone tonight. At this time, if you would, please bow for the invocation. As we gather this afternoon, I express thanks for this day and all of its blessings. I ask this board to be mindful of the business we are about to undertake. We are thankful for everyone in attendance today. Further, we are thankful for the opportunity to govern and the freedoms we enjoy. We pause to remember the students, faculty members, and families in our system and community who are facing challenges. Our positive thoughts are with them. As always, we seek wisdom to make the best decisions for the students and citizens of Davie County. Amen. At this time, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have two Girl Scout troops here tonight to lead that. One is Troop 2146 from Canatra Elementary and 2577 from Moxwell Elementary. And with them, we have their adult leaders, Kimberly Wells, Jessica Vieira Atwell, and Dreama Morris. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. At this time, I would ask for a motion for the approval of the minutes from our November 5th meeting. I have a motion for Mr. Drexler. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Junker. All in favor? 6-0. It's unanimous. At this time, I'll point out some important dates in December. On December the 9th, we have some DARE graduations going on. On December the 9th at 1 p.m., Shady Grove's having their DARE graduation. On December the 10th, William R. Davies having their DARE graduation. On the 12th, Canatra Elementary is having their DARE graduation at 9 a.m. And on December the 20th at 11 a.m. The school board will have lunch at Central Davie Academy. And I guess at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hartness for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hope everyone had a restful Thanksgiving and enjoyed time with family. I would remind the board that in your public content on board docs is a listing of our meeting dates for 2014, so you can mark those on your calendars as you plan for next year. First thing I'd like to do tonight is to introduce to you our new principal of Pine Brook Elementary School, who will begin her new role in January. So if you all could help me congratulate and recognize Ms. Brooke Pressler. Brooke, would you stand? We look forward to Brooke's leadership, and we wish Miss Joy Morrison the very best as she enjoys retirement. I want to give you just a quick summary on accountability. Erin Foyle is here tonight, and she's going to give us some more details in our staff reports a little bit later. But since our last board meeting, the State Board of Education has finalized accountability results for 2012-13, and there's been some communication with the board about that, and Erin's going to go into some more details. There were some new cut scores and EOGs and EOCs this past year, but even with the implementation of an entirely new curriculum, K-12, all new assessments, and new cut scores, Davie County Schools continues to perform extremely well. Our school district ranked 11th out of 115 school districts in their academic performance last year. So I think that's something we can celebrate for sure. It is one of those things that still there's a lot of work to be done, and we want to continue to focus on what is best for our children to help them grow and develop and to be prepared when they graduate from high school for college or a career. So Erin will share with you some more data about that tonight, but it's exciting that our school district ranks so high in the state. I also want to give you an update, a summary of the Board of Commissioners' actions last night related to the bond referendum that's scheduled for May of 2014. Through the process of putting a bond on the ballot, the Board of Commissioners has several steps or formalities that they have to do, and one of those is selecting a financing option and a potential tax rate for the effect of the bond on the tax in Davie County. It's not setting the new tax rate because that would have to be set once the bonds were sold after you had a bid in that project. So last night, the Board of Commissioners, and I'm going to pass this around, if y'all will take one and pass it around. The Board of Commissioners explored 5 different options for financing the school that we presented to them in April of this year. So in your packet there, it's being passed around, are the 5 options that they considered. I'm just going to go over those very quickly. Options, all of these options assume that the interest rate on the bond loan would be 4% and the financing would last for 20 years. And the options ranged from 8 cents on increase in the tax rate to an 11.5 cents increase on the current tax rate. The 12.3% or 12.3 cent increase that's been discussed previously did not come up or was not discussed last night. When you look at our county's condition, we're in excellent financial condition. Over the next 20 years, there's $32 million of debt that is rolling off the books in that time period. And the commissioners during that time period will have to decide whether or not to give that roll-off debt back to the taxpayers by reducing the tax rate, whether or not they would want to use that roll-off for capital needs. One of those might be financing school facilities, or to use it to increase fund balance. And last night, the commissioners got an excellent audit report. Currently, they have $12.7 million in fund balance. The financing option that was presented to them last night with the lowest tax impact was an 8 cent increase in the current tax rate. And that option utilized $8 million, or about 24% of the roll-off debt that will come off the books in the next 20 years. So the 8 cent include the roll-off debt. There was a 9 cent increase option that was presented, and that covers the entire cost of financing a school. There was an 8.5 cent. You see that in your packet as well. There was a 10 cent option and an 11 cent option, both of which would raise more tax revenue than is necessary to finance a school. The 10 cent option generates about, and you can do the math on what you see here, that's how I came up with these. The 10 cent option generates $8 million more in tax revenue than is necessary to fund the school, and the 11.5 cent option generates almost $21 million more in tax revenue than is necessary to fund the school. According to our county manager, the financial advisors that they use at Wells Fargo and the LGC have both looked at these options and approved these options. Commissioners last night voted 3-2 to select the highest tax rate presented, which was 11.5 cents, and they will include that on the LGC application for the bond. It's important, I think, for us to note and the public to note that the commissioners didn't change the tax rate last night. They voted on a financing option to include on the application to the LGC. And I think it would be important for this board and for us to better understand why the Board of Commissioners chose the financing option that they chose. I'm not completely in understanding why they chose that option. After a lot of debate, the Board of Commissioners also voted to include a $5 million recreation bond on the ballot in May as a separate question, separate from the school bond. They agreed unanimously that if the recreation bond and the school bond both passed, approximately $4 million would be allocated to repurposing and developing recreation facilities at the current high school campus, and about $1 million would be used for recreation needs in other parts of the county. If the school bond did not pass and the recreation bond passed, the commissioners agreed that only $1 million of the $5 million would be used for recreation. So that's kind of a summary and recap of the actions of the county commissioners that affects this board. And with that, I would like to wish everyone a very happy holiday season over the next several weeks and a very happy new year. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that report, Dr. Hartness. Appreciate you keeping us up to date. I was at the meeting last night, and some interesting discussion. I would hope as this thing shakes out, one of the commissioners made a comment that you know, as they move through this, that this was just for the purposes of sending this information to the LGC. As they move through this, they could look at a more reasonable tax rate. And I would sure hope that we wouldn't wind up with an increased rate that would be more than revenue than what they needed to fund the school. So that would be my only comment about that. But moving on now to recognitions. At this time, we'll recognize the custodial team of the year. Mr. Spillman.
Chairman Fuller, board members, Dr. Hartness, staff, and guests. I'm here to recognize the custodial team of the year and the maintenance star of the year. Custodial team, please. Custodial team of the year goes to a team that had to work hard around a lot of extra challenges this past summer. We replaced approximately 15,000 square feet of carpet with VCC tile when time was a big issue. They worked hard to make sure that the school was ready to open. This is a quote from their principal, Lynn Mars. The custodial team is truly a part of the Mocksville Elementary School family. They go above and beyond the call of duty, standing in the rain for car and bus duty, mentoring challenging students, translating for families that do not speak English, and making sure the school looks great. This is a special group that takes pride in what they do each and every day. Thank you for what you do.
On behalf of the Davie County School Board, just thank you for what you do. And I'm going to make, this is Mr. Billy, for those of you that don't know. And I know this happens at every school too, but the people that do this job that goes way beyond the call of duty. And I wouldn't mind you explaining real quick the vacuum cleaner. The tricks that they get for these kids to take care of the school themselves as well and take pride in everything. My kids go to that school and all of a sudden I see this vacuum cleaner that has a t-shirt draped over it that says Moxville Rams on it, and it's got a picture of Billy, his head on the top of it. And this kid is pushing it through the hallway, going to eat lunch and wherever. Can you explain real quick what that's about?
Well, they tried to come up, actually, Will Mars came up with the ingenious idea to try and get people to help clean their room some, to take some of the load off us since they have to make these cuts. And we pick a class when they do good, like through the whole day, with lunch and everything, and then they get to have that for a weekend. It scares some teachers.
See, that's the trick. At home, I can't get my kids to clean, but all they have to do is get the chance to push around a vacuum with Billy's head on it. So,
So maybe you need to put your head on it.
no, you don't need to. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Clint, maybe you need to put a picture of your face on your vacuum cleaner.
That wouldn't work out.
Now I'd like to introduce Lehman Cartner. This year's Maintenance Star of the Year goes to a very deserving man. He started working with us in 2009 as a custodian at Davie County High School. He transferred to the maintenance in 2011. Being a farmer, you have to know how to do a lot of different things. His truck is the first one in the parking lot each morning. And when he does take a vacation, he enjoys hunting, spending time with his family, and watching his sons play baseball. And thank you for what you do.
On behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to thank you for the work that you do, the dedication, the hours, and the time you put in there to work throughout the whole school system. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys, and thank you for all your hard work. At this time, we'll have the holiday card contest winners in recognition.
Board, I get the pleasure of doing this recognition. This is always a fun thing. We are always so excited for all the cards to come into our office as people vote on their favorites. So tonight what we want to do is to recognize our student artwork that was part of our holiday art contest and submitted for the board's holiday card. So as I call your name, students, if you would come and line up right here, and then we're going to show everyone what your cards look like, okay? So Harley James from Coolamy Elementary School, Phoenix Aday from Kernatzer Elementary, Jadalyn Torres Adama from Moxville Elementary, Anaya Harris from Pine Brook Elementary, Shelby Starnes from Shady Grove Elementary, Carson Ledbetter from William R. Davie Elementary School, Ashton Harris from North Davie Middle, Brianna Fryer from South Davie Middle, Destiny Foster from Central Davie Academy, Fernando Hernandez from Central Davie Academy, Haley Johnson and Kennedy Mathis from Davie Early College High School, and Julie Sanchez from Davie County High School. All right, so what we want to do is tonight we want to show your cards, and as your card comes up on the screen, if you would step forward, and folks will know that that is the card that you created. But before we start going through those, I would like to also recognize our dedicated art teachers in the district who have helped some of these students: Jessica Allen, Amy Chappell, Joan Means, Amanda Uhas, Dana Roberts, Lauren Reith, Mindy Seaman, and Angela Rockwell. Let's give all of our teachers and students a hand. So if we could dim the lights a little bit, and we'll go through the holiday card slideshow, and students, again, when your card comes up, just please step forward so the audience will know it's yours. Let's give them all a hand. Okay, we can stop it now. Thanks to our madrigal singers at Davie County High School for that background music as well. Next, what we want to do is recognize our grade level winners, so we can bring the lights back up. Each of these grade level winners will receive a $25 gift card. And first we have from Pine Brook Elementary, Anaya Harris. Ms. Harris. From Davie High School, Julie Sanchez. And Julie is not with us tonight, I don't believe. And then the artwork that was selected to be on the front of the 2013 Davie County Board of Education's holiday card is Ashton Davis from North Davie Middle School. Harris, I'm sorry, excuse me. Over there. That's your card. All right. Ashton, congratulations, and I'm sorry I mispronounced your last name. Way to go. This card will be distributed in our school system and around, and all of our students' artwork is on the back. So we want to thank them for making this holiday season special. And over here you will see all the cards, and students, as you leave tonight, you can take your card that's framed over here, okay? So let's give all of our students another round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hartness. We have some wonderful artists in our schools. That's awesome. At this time, we're moving on to our consent agenda, and I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. We have a motion by Ms. Livengood. Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Drexler. All in favor? 6-0 is unanimous. At this point, we're moving on to the public address to the board, and I'll turn it over to Artie.
Mr. Chairman, no one signed up for public comment before the meeting, so we have no speakers tonight.
Thank you so much. Moving right along to committee staff reports. And first on the list is Student Accountability, Aaron Foyle.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the 2012-2013 Accountability Report. Last month, we went through quite extensively what the new Ready Accountability Model looks like for our state and what we are expected to do. And so tonight I want to go through a couple of the results from that were approved by the State Board of Education in October. So the Ready Accountability Model is made up of three separate things. The performance composite, which is our current status. That's our percent proficient that you would think of. Annual measurable objectives. Those are going to show our progress over years. And our growth, which is shown through EVOS. So we're going to look at all three of those different things and how Davie County schools performed on each one of those measures. The performance composite is a combination of all the different end of grade and end of course tests that were taken in 2012-2013 by our students. So it looks at all grade levels. The website up there, the www.ncaccountabilitymodel.org, I wanted to bring that up because that is where all of this data that I'll talk to you about tonight, all of it is located there in a format where it's easy to find and easy to look at. Hold on just a second, we're going to go back. I went ahead and listed, these are all the schools that are in the Piedmont Triad Education Consortium. It's a consortium that we're a member of. These are all the counties that are a part of that consortium and the surrounding counties added into that. They are in alphabetical order, but if you'll scan down through there, you'll see at the very bottom the state of North Carolina. Their performance composite for all tests was 44.7%. And you'll see Davie County schools there at 53.8%. We were the highest scoring for our performance composite in the PTEC and surrounding counties. And as Dr. Hartness said earlier, we are 11th in the state out of 115 different LEAs. The performance composite not only is comprised of the EOGs and the EOCs, but it's also comprised of the ACT and several other measures that we'll look at in just a moment. But the ACT composite, every year all of our 11th graders take the ACT and they look at a composite of all the different subtests of the ACT. And everybody that met a minimum, they chose a minimum that the college system usually looks at for admission, and that minimum is 17. So they looked at, for performance composite for the ACT, the percent of students that achieved a minimum score of 17 on the ACT composite. You'll see that in our district, 66.6% of our students achieved that minimum composite score of 17. The state average was 58.5%. As part of the Ready Accountability Model, they also look at math course rigor. This is the number of students, or the percent of students, that completed a third math that graduated in 2012-13. You'll see 95%. That's a little bit misleading, simply because we're not allowed to report anything below 5% or above 95%, because that starts to impinge some with FERPA, the Privacy Act, with reporting, so we can't report anything above 95%. So in reality, the state and the district are probably somewhat above 95%, but we cannot report it that way. The next measure in the Ready Accountability Model is the ACT Work Keys test. This is a test that our CTE, our career and technical education students, if they complete a second level course and they graduate in the year 2012-13, they took the Work Keys test, and these are the students that scored a silver or better. And you'll see here that our district had 83.8% of students that took the Work Keys scored a silver or better, and the state had an average of 67.3%. Another component of the Ready accountability model is our four-year graduation rate. Here you'll see our district compared to the state. District was 83.2% for our four-year cohort graduation rate in 2012-2013, and our state was 82.5%. The five-year graduation rate is also reported. You'll see our district at 85.3 and the state at 83.1. So those are the different components that we look at for the Ready accountability model. So we've looked at the performance composite for each one of them. Now we get to go on to look at the annual measurable objectives, or the AMOs. We talked a bit about these last month, and we talked about the fact that these are goals. So we look at subgroups for each school. So all schools and all the district have subgroups. You have to have a minimum of 30 kids in a group in order to form a subgroup. And it looks at your all students as one subgroup, every racial group is a subgroup, your economically disadvantaged, your students with disabilities, your LEP students. And this year we have a new subgroup of AIG students. So they look at each one of those subgroups. You have two different goals for each subgroup, and that is the participation. So we're expected to have 95% of our students participate in the testing itself, and also in your proficiency. So it's the number of students that were proficient, or in our terms, scored a 3 or a 4 on when you look at the EOG and the EOCs. Every year we have targets for those, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the targets. I mentioned these last month. I didn't go into great detail with them, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about the targets because there is a goal to them, and I wanted to show you this. This is actually North Carolina math. It's a chart of all the different annual measurable objectives over the next 6 years. The goal of the annual measurable objectives is to reduce the amount of non-proficient students by half over a 6-year period. And it's most easily explained by a graph like this, because you have, you see a widespread where our students performed in 2012-13 and where they want us to go. So every year, each one of those dots represents a target for a subgroup. And you'll see that over 6 years, the gap between the proficiency of all the different subgroups gets smaller. So that is one of the main goals of seeing our annual measurable objectives grow over time and reducing those non-proficient students by half. So some groups have to grow a little bit more than other groups, but everybody improves over time. So I wanted to bring that up because you will see us over the next several years. Every year, our AMOs will increase, and we'll have higher goals to reach every single year. So when we look at our AMOs, we have federal targets and we have state targets. Federal targets consist of most of our subgroups, without the AIG group, though, that's just a state one, and the reading and math. Our state targets consist of the science, and we add in some separate subgroups. So you'll see much higher number of targets that are possible in our state targets than we do in our federal targets. So as a county, Davie County Schools met 58 out of 59 targets that we had for federal targets, 98.3%. And for our state targets, we met 122 out of 132, 92.4%. I will say that the 122 right now is the official figure. I did get an email about 4:30 this afternoon that we had several data correction things that had to go through in the past month, and the whole state went through a data correction period. What that meant is that sometimes the baseline of these targets changed just a little bit. And so they put out new targets this afternoon that'll be voted, well, it'll be voted on, all the corrections will be voted on by the state board in December. I do know that our state targets that I know of right now will be going up by 1. So And that will be approved at the December State Board of Education meeting, which is tomorrow, I think. The third piece of the READY accountability model is growth. So we are looking at the number of kids that we have that are proficient, and then we look at how we improve over time at getting those kids to the proficiency level. We also want to get a really complete picture of how we're doing. We want to see how our students grow. Proficiency is a goal, and it's a good goal, but we want to see our kids grow over time as well. So that's the growth piece of this. And you'll see here that the effectiveness levels are what the state reports as far as growth. I will say that growth is reported only at the school level. It's not reported at the district level. But you'll see 3 different categories. You'll see exceeds expected growth, meets expected growth, and does not meet expected growth. And growth is basically, it's expected for a student to learn a year's worth of data. And if they learn a year's worth of data and they perform on their EOGs compared to their peers in a fashion that says that they learned that, then we see growth. And we did have 8 of our schools that met or exceeded expected growth. Are there any questions about the accountability report from 2012-2013? Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you give me an example of now knowing this data, what's the next move? Where do you take this data? Where does this data lead you?
Right. In 2012-2013, we are now getting a rush of reporting. So even just this past week, they released what we call goal summaries. And so they released a bunch of reports from last year's tests that allow at the teacher level, we'll be giving out reports to teachers, and it allows at the teacher level to look at the different things that were covered on the test and how well their students did on those. And so we'll be going forth with that reporting and getting those reports down to the school level. So the teachers can look at how they taught last year, can adjust how they taught, and go forward with a better understanding of the Common Core and a better understanding of the new EOGs and EOCs.
Aaron, if there's other questions, we could take those, but if you could take a minute and go to the website you and I discussed. Board, I wanted to share with you, one of the questions that I hear quite a bit is, okay, we talk about how students in North Carolina do, but how do we do internationally? And it's really difficult at times to determine how well do students in America do compared to other countries. Some other countries don't necessarily educate all children. They educate some. But there was one report that I ran across that I wanted to share with you, and it's the TIMS report. And this is the website for the National Center for Educational Statistics. And the TIMS report is a trends in international math and science study, and it's given to 4th and 8th graders around the world every 4 years. And the last data was from 2011. And one of the things you have to keep in mind when you look at this is in the state samples in the United States, only public schools were part of the sample. In some of the other education systems, it included public and private schools. But I thought it was pretty significant. In 2011, in 4th grade, among 57 countries, the United States was among the top 15 education systems in mathematics. And then they identified the 8 education systems with average math scores above the U.S. score. And those 8 educational systems were Singapore, Korea, Hong Kong, China, Japan, Northern Ireland, North Carolina in the United States, and Belgium. I thought that was pretty significant that North Carolina would be listed in those top 8 education systems. In 2011, in the 8th grade, among 56 countries, the United States was in the top 24 education systems in mathematics, and there were 11 education systems that had average math scores that were above the U.S. score. And those were Korea, Singapore, China, Hong Kong, Japan, Massachusetts, Minnesota, the Russian Federation, North Carolina, Quebec, Canada, and Indiana. So when you think about where North Carolina ranks, at least from this math standard, from this sample, among other countries, and where students in Davie County rank in North Carolina, I think we all ought to be really proud of where our teachers are taking our students and the efforts that our students are getting. And we can never forget, it's not just what happens in the classroom, but the parent and community support that we have is critical for our continued success. So I just want to give you a glimpse of an international indicator that sometimes we hear, our students aren't performing compared, they're not globally competitive. And that's important to us because our students will be working in careers and going to college with students from all over the world. So just wanted to share those indicators with you. And I'd encourage you to take a look at this website. It's quite interesting. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. I do have one more item on the agenda.
Yeah, please go ahead.
The school report card, I did usually this time of year, I'm before you presenting the school report card. And this year, I wanted to let you know that it will be coming out, but it has been delayed to January 28th, 2014. So probably in the February board meeting, I'll be standing up here talking to you about the school report card, but it will be delayed until then. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. At this time, we'll move on to donations report. Ms. Mink.
Thank you, Chairman Fuller, members of the board, Dr. Hartness. You have before you the donations report for the month of December, and as you can see, we've highlighted the items, the donations that have been received in the past month, and that's just there for information purposes.
Thank you, Ms. Mink. We're grateful to all the individuals and businesses and organizations that donate. They certainly make a huge difference. At this time, I'll turn it over to, Mr. Wallace, I'm sorry. I was looking at that item here.
That's all right. Board, you can see there that in the notes in that we had a group of parents, staff, administrators that met on 2 different occasions to look at calendar. And as I've mentioned before, if you've ever participated on this committee, if you haven't, I encourage you to. Carol has participated and appreciate that, but we are bookend, as we say. We got a beginning and an absolute beginning and end, which really limits us and the flexibility we have. But there are a few differences in the 2 calendars that we've proposed to you there as information. We are currently working on getting a survey done or giving our full staff the opportunity to vote, which we will be collecting that data over the next couple weeks. And of course, I will bring that data back to you as well. But I'll be glad to try to address any questions or any information that you have there. I'll be glad to try to answer those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace, and thank you, Ms. Livengood, for serving on that committee.
Well, you're welcome. But I did want to share something, if I could. Just mostly to you as parents out there, because I was one at one time, and when you get that school calendar and you might look at it and you might think, well, I wonder why they did this, I wonder why they did that, why don't we have off here, why this? Mr. Wallace couldn't have said it any better. It's very limited, but having participated in the meeting, which was made up of a couple of parents, staff from all levels, elementary, high school, middle school, what they have to go through, they spend hours trying to juggle what works best for students. And that is their goal with the calendar, is the instruction of students. It's not their vacation, it's not what's best, it's what's best for students. And I think that's just really important, that beginning and ending, I'm hoping one day will change. I'm hoping Raleigh will say, let's let each county decide when their best start date is, what works best for them. That hasn't happened yet. It might. But it was, it's very eye-opening. The teachers, the staff, they work really hard to come up with the best calendar that they can, so I thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Livengood. At this time, we're at the board comment section of our meeting, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Mr. Ridenhour's time this time.
I hope I can get through this. My voice is about gone. Matter of fact, I was going to ask you to allow me to speak first. I wanted to, I hate to have to do this tonight, but I feel like it's necessary that I respond to our superintendent's comments and our chairman's comments on the debt structure of the new high school. And I want to address the term debt roll-off. When the taxpayers of this county vote on debt, some of it's voted on, some of it's financed through COPS where the commissioners just borrow the money. In my estimation, this is not an open-end loan. Dr. Hartness, and I apologize if I missed this, but you said that there was three things I think that the commissioners could choose to do with this debt roll-off. One would be give it back to the taxpayers. The other would be use it for capital needs for the county and the school system, capital needs. And the other was to build a fund balance. I'd like to offer up a fourth option that this debt roll-off can be used for. And if you said it, I apologize. I just missed it. And that's operations. And I'm familiar with these scenarios that Dr. Hartness gave out. Some of them use all the debt roll-off in the next 10 years. Some of them don't use any. But my concern is twofold, is recommitting debt that the people have voted on to other debt without their vote, I think is morally bad. The other thing is, when we met, Dr. Hartness and I met with a group back in August of 2012, a sitting county commissioner at that time said, we use this debt roll-off sometimes for operations. And I'd like to offer up that fourth option tonight, which is operations. And I just want to give an example of our school system. We know if we use all the debt roll-off over the next 10 years to fund this school, there'll be no money left to roll into operations unless taxes are raised. And we know today that for the last 3 years, this system has operated at a $2.8 million, we've operated at $2.8 million in the red. So we've had to take this money out of our fund balance over the last 3 years just to operate. That's an average of around $933,000 a year. We're funded $9,500,000, that's approximate. If you take that $900,000 and make the math simple, you add it to that, we're going to need next budget year $10.4 million to operate the Davie County school system. You multiply that times 10 years, that's $104 million. You take the $9 million, $9.5 million, if we stay the same and we didn't need anything else, that's $95 million over the next 10 years. So we know tonight in our school system, we're facing a possible shortage of $8 to $9 million over the next 10 years. And I'd like to thank the county commissioners for choosing the avenue that they used. It's none of these options, even the 11.5, won't guarantee any additional tax increase over the next years, because we don't know what operations would be for the school system, for the county. Nobody has a crystal ball. And so I think they made the right decision, and I don't think not one person sitting in this audience or not one person sitting around this table up here would take money that they've got rolling off in debt and commit it to debt down the road. because you don't know what it's going to take to operate your home, and you're just not going to do that. So that's what I want to say about that. I want to thank the three that voted for that. I think they made a wise financial decision. And like I said, I hate I had to do this tonight, the meeting before Christmas. I do want to wish each one of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I look forward to continuing to work together as we move forward. Thank you.
Well, first, I would like to thank everyone for being here tonight. As you all noticed, Mrs. Owens is not with us this evening, and I did want to acknowledge the reason for that. Her mother passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I know how difficult that is. I've recently experienced that myself. So I'd ask you to keep her in your prayers. This is a difficult time. It's always a difficult time to lose anyone, but this time of year is very hard. So please be thinking of Barbara. I would really appreciate that. I want to congratulate Dr. Hartness. We were able to go to a ceremony, I guess for lack of a better word, where he was in a competition, so to speak, for the Superintendent of the Year. He was in, was it the top 9? The top 7? Top 7 superintendents throughout the state. And it was a really inspiring meeting. I was so proud that our superintendent was standing up on that stage with the other well-deserved candidates, and I want to congratulate you on that. I also would like to congratulate Brooke Pressler. I didn't get to send her a letter. I'm so happy that you're going to be the new principal at Pine Brook, and certainly wish Mrs. Morrison a happy retirement. Sometimes, it's hard to remember everybody all the time, but I recently had an experience with my own child who's 24, and still kind of finding his way, but he had to go into our central office to pick up some papers. And I want to tell you what an amazing central office staff we have. And of course, I'm calling him on the phone saying, you make sure you're on your best behavior when you walk into that building. But he calls me on the way out and says, those are the nicest people I have ever met. They treated me just, and it wasn't, they didn't know, I don't think they knew who he was. It was just, they're that kind of people. And we are very fortunate to have the central office staff that we do. I'm just so grateful for all of those. To our friends who I believe are celebrating Hanukkah, correct me if I think we're still in the season of Hanukkah. I wish you all a happy Hanukkah. To those of you who celebrate this season as a holiday, happy holidays. And to those of us that, to the many people who celebrate this as the birth of Christ, I wish you a very blessed Christmas. Thank you.
I'm going to be very simple, as always. Just to take a deep breath, holidays, take a deep breath and relax. And, I don't know, just remember all the things that we have to be thankful for, including especially the county that we live in, and the people that have a passion in their heart for the right reasons and fight for the right things. And I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that that a lot of people just don't know about, me included. And I don't know, we just have a lot to be thankful for. And so just reminder for me to stop and remember that. But Merry Christmas.
Just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Clint, you're right, we do have a lot to be thankful for, and sometimes I think it's easy to get caught up in all of the things that we may not always agree on. But in regards to that, I was at the meeting last night, and there were a lot of folks in the crowd that were frustrated and upset, and that's human nature. I mean, you're going to be upset when something happens that you don't necessarily want, but that's not the way to solve problems, is to get mad. We live in a country where we're able to vote, And in May, we have an opportunity to vote. And I just encourage folks to, if they don't like the way things are going, that they go to the voter box in May. That's where you can handle your frustrations. So, and that goes for everybody. I mean, regardless of how you feel. So, but with that said, I hope Santa Claus is very good to everybody. If he's coming to your house, I know, I can't believe it's already almost time. And then I hope everyone will just remember the reason for the season. Thanks.
Echo comments made by others. Congratulations for your new position. Work hard. I would want to thank everyone for coming out and attending this meeting tonight, and maybe more than just tonight, I'd like to thank the staff and teachers and assistants and maintenance and custodians and everyone that works day in and day out to make things happen, so that it's amazing, pleasantly amazing, that we get the results that this school system gets out of students and schools and student progress and work. I thank you, every one of you, parents, teachers, all staff, all administration, for your interest in what happens in the school system. I attended the State of North Carolina Board of Education meeting in Greensboro, the one that Carol was talking about. And there were several meetings that I attended that were breakout sessions, and I picked up some information from several of those meetings that I went to, and I'll be sharing that. Dr. Hartness, I don't know if I give it to you to disseminate out or hand it to different administrators, but tidbits of information that I picked up. Davie County is very well respected in this state. The other board members that were there and or superintendents that attended some of those meetings, and the vendors in the vendor area, Davie County stands out. We should all be very, very proud of what happens. To all of you, Merry Christmas. Great new year coming. Thank you.
Thank you. I would also like to thank everyone for coming and congratulate Brooke. And I would also like to congratulate Dr. Hartness on being the Regional Superintendent of the Year, and we've talked about that. And as Ms. Livengood said, he was one of 7 nominated for Superintendent of the Year. We are certainly very blessed here in Davie County, and we do have a lot to be thankful for. And and I would just add that, as Mr. Ridenhour was talking, if we have other needs in the county, I don't have any problem with funding those other needs, but we just need to tell the people what the money's for. That's all. I don't have any problem with that. I think you're right. But with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn, Mr. Drexler. We have a second by Mr. Ridenhour. All in favor? We are adjourned.